Welcome to all Caribbean entrepreneurs. If you've been ready and waiting to take your business digital and get paid online while you sip something strong on the beach, this podcast is for you. We'll hear from the Caribbean's finest entrepreneurs on topics like e-commerce, business development, brand building, social media, their wins and failures. This is the only place in the region helping you navigate the digital age from the Caribbean's perspective. This is Digipreneur FM. And now, let's give it up for the Digiboss himself, Mr. Keron Rose.
Thank you to everybody tuning in to another episode of the Digipreneur FM podcast. And as usual, it is your boy, Mr. Rose. DJ, you know what to do. You've been with us long enough. You know you gotta fade us all the way out so we can talk to the people. The good people. It is Wednesday, August 6, 2025. This is episode number 195. I said that and I'm like, yo, you know what? Man, if this was like the 70s or 80s and I could be on radio at like the midnight hour, like love hour, yo, that would have been a vibe. I think, listen, I enjoy what I do right now on radio, but I listen to a lot of like 70s, 80s funk music, right? And I'm just here thinking to myself, like, just how I said it, I'm just like, yo, if I was like, you know, if this was like evening time, like, you know, say after the 9 o'clock hour, you know, you get that sultry voice. You're now tuned in to the Digipreneur FM with your boy, Mr. Rose. Chill out, man. This is a business podcast. We got to keep it professional. Listen, I have fun, man. I'm enjoying life, man. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying bringing all of you along for the ride, and I think that what has been, you know, just really eye-opening for me this year is, you know, you're just how do I want to say this? I think this year has been just a lot of self-discovery, right? A lot of, you know, figuring out, you know, what makes me happy at this day and age, what makes me curious. You know, my interests are changing, life has changed, you know. And what has been really opening is just understanding that I think the reason why I don't experience burnout is because I've learned that, and it took me, I mean, I never really thought about it like this, but this year I actually learned that when you go online and you have to perform, that's where the burnout happens. And let me just break that down. That's not today's topic, but I'm just we like to do a little preamble before we get into the things, them, you know. But when you have to, the reason why a lot of people burn out in this digital space, especially when it comes to content creation, right? And also the reason a lot of the times people have anxieties for a lot of the times I'm mixed up my words. A lot of the times that people have anxiety in terms of putting themselves out there and creating content, it's similar to the same thing, right? And it's because when the camera goes on, right? When the ring light goes on, when the camera goes on, when we hit record, it's lights, camera, action. And typically that happens during a performance, right? And most people, this is mainly everybody, treat digital like a performance, right? And what I learned this year, just through keynotes and books and, you know, just from a variety of different people, different voices and different saying the same thing but differently. But when you are just documenting your journey. You're not performing, right? You're just documenting what you do. And to a lot of people, or to the, I shouldn't say a lot of people, to the right people, it is educational, it is entertaining, or it is inspirational, right? And you don't burn out because really you're just living your life and you're just connecting with your online community. And that's how I feel. Like I don't think I've ever thought about it like this before. Because for a while, I don't want to say I was never performing, but for a while I knew that okay, social media, we're using it for business. So when we jump on here, we're putting our we're putting our business content out, right? But my business has always been rooted in things that I'm interested in. So for me, I've always just been sharing what I've been interested in, right? But there was a long period where again, I was only ever focused on just the business content, business content, business content. So that I was just focusing on that, right? And then there would just be times where I'm like, no, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't, you know what I mean? But this year has been a very different just approach to content, or just a paradigm shift really. Because I'm still showing up. I've been consistent since I started back in 2016. We haven't stopped. But my approach this year is different now. My approach to, just showing up online is really more being okay with myself to share more of what I'm interested in, right? Because again, not every day I want to talk about business. There's so many different things I want to share, and there's so many things I want to experience. And this is where I'm seeing myself now turning into a lifestyle, a tech and lifestyle and entrepreneurship content creator. I don't know. But you know what I mean, right? And I don't even want to say I'm not putting myself in the content. We are all content creators, so I shouldn't even. You see, the funny thing is, right? There's such a bad stigma about the word content creator that I am a content creator, and I'm just like I don't even want to call myself that. But no, that's what it is, right? That's one of the hats that I wear. I am a content creator, so let me just own that. But how I'm showing up this year is just very different for me personally. And I think it's resonating. I think it's resonating because the conversations that I'm having with people are just a lot deeper, and I think, now people are sharing more parts of their story, more parts of their journey, more parts of what they're going through, because I myself have opened up different aspects of my life and just different interests, and I'm showing up very differently, and the more I'm learning about business and the more I'm learning about, just how other people are building their businesses and growing in the digital space, and I'm giving this one example before we get into today's topic. But one of the big topics that keep on coming up from so many different platforms and so many different faces, different backgrounds, cultures, age brackets, is relationships and business, right? Finding the right partner, what that does for you, what the potential of that does, and what the wrong partner does if you are somebody building a business. That is things that we don't talk about at all, right? And because it's starting to make so much more sense to me, a lot of the different arguments and different perspectives are making a lot of sense. I'm sharing, again, it's still business. We're still talking, I'm not talking like, romance. We're talking like relationships in business, right? And because I'm sharing that, that's just opened up new conversations with people, you know? And again, this is stuff that I wouldn't have shared. Matter of fact, one of my shout out to Kevin Valley. Me and Kevin, we've been having a little bit of a marathon conversation right now about life and just life, right? And the conversation started because I shared a video. I shared a video. It was a lady talking. I forget the topic because I've shared a bunch of stuff, and it's getting to the evening time for me. But I shared a video of a lady talking about relationships between men and women and business and yada yada yada. And it touched for a lot of people. But then he reached out to me and he was like, bro, this is very different from your usual content. But bro, I love it. And that led into like going on a 2-day marathon conversation with my boy Kevin. All right. So I say all that to say today's topic. I was just talking. I wasn't really getting to a point. I hope I landed the plane though. I hope I landed the plane. If you don't know what that means, like if somebody is talking and you're trying to bring them in and bring it, you land the plane. Land the plane. So hopefully I landed the plane. Hopefully. It might have been rocky, but say what. So today's topic, what are we getting into today? Let's get into it, man. Today's topic is an extremely important topic, right? Today's topic is your degree preparing you for the future or the past? My goodness. Now, I didn't wake up one day and decide that I wanted to challenge the education system. What really changed things for me was a particular moment. It started off with this. It was a short video that I was asked to do on behalf of a brand, and they told me they want me to do it. 60-second video, give me your price. It was the biggest figure that I've ever quoted a company to that point, and it was 2,500 US. The company didn't negotiate; they just said done, right? But here's what that did for me, because that was the biggest payday that I got at that particular point in time. It took me 10 minutes to shoot the video because I'm like, once I know my stuff, like in my space, I know my space. I'm great off the cuff. I can just talk, right? So it took me 10 minutes to shoot what I had to do. And shout out to my boy Devon X Scott. Devon took like 30 minutes to 30 minutes to edit the video, and we got paid. Well, I got paid, and I paid Devon what he asked, what he quoted me for the video, right? But we got paid. And just like that, I had made more in 40 minutes than some folks earn in an entire month. Now, 2,500 US is not no big set of money, but I'm just saying, like, if we're talking Caribbean context, 2,500 US is a heck of a lot more than minimum wage, or not minimum wage, but the average salary of most people in the Caribbean, right? So 2,500 US for 40 minutes of work. That moment, that transaction completely shifted how I understood time, value, and opportunity. And that was the beginning, that this was the beginning of Droid Island, right? When I started as a phone and tech brand, Droid Island, I was doing product reviews, tutorials, buyer advice, and that slowly turned into something bigger. Droid Island was really my training wheels, that really was my training wheels. Before I knew it, Droid Island was selling digital products, right? And I had to learn how to do that. It was getting brand deals. It was running mobile product and sales trainings for corporate teams. I was leading sales trainings and product trainings for corporate teams in the mobile space. And what blew my mind, the content that I was producing was moving faster than me. People were calling me into rooms that I never even knew existed. From meetings with CEOs to government consultations to university guest lectures to companies flying me all throughout the region, booking me to train departments or train SMEs or conduct workshops to the public. But why? Because my work was already in the room before I even got there. And here's the part that you need to hear. I don't have a degree. I'm going to repeat that. I, Keron Rose, don't have a degree. And no one has ever asked me for one to this day. Nobody. From CEO to the universities that I lecture at and that I advise in, to the government agencies that I work with, to the brands and the companies that I work with. Nobody asks me for a degree. Why? Because they see and they have saw my portfolio. They have watched my body of work. They have followed the documentation of my journey consistently over time. And that's what people trust today. It's no longer the diploma on your wall. It is the proof that you have the skill sets. All right? When I meet people today, the conversation never really starts with, what did you study? Matter of fact, I don't even think I don't think in any conversation that I've had are people asking, like, where did you study? But people ask every single time. And I'm not saying that people don't ask where you don't study. I'm saying that nobody ever asks me, like, where did you go and study? However, people ask every single time, what do you do? Right? Every single time, what do you do? And then we both end up showing each other what we do, from projects to platforms that we have, to YouTube channels, to websites, to just whatever, right? And that 5-minute mutual exchange tells both of us everything we need to know these days about whether we are aligned, whether there's synergy, and whether this connection is even real. And then every time, without fail, someone asks, yo, what's your IG or what's your LinkedIn? They pull out their phones, they type in your name, and then what do? They scroll. Think about what you do when you ask for somebody you just met and you get their social media. You put in their name, you take a scroll, you take 3 seconds because you're not trying to make it too obvious, but you take a couple of seconds, you take a quick scroll, and you're scanning. And that scroll tells people more about you today than your resume ever could. It tells them, are you active? Right? Or are you some ghost? Because Lord knows when we jump on someone's social media platform and we hear things like, oh, I don't have social media. You're like, what? What are you hiding? Who are you hiding from? When you see that they're not active and they don't post, you're like, suspicious, right? But then when people see, you're active, when they see the things that you're doing, when they see when they see what you're doing, how you're doing it, how you're carrying yourself, they're looking for, is this person credible? Like, you're there talking with them face to face. Is this a load of nonsense, or is this person actually credible? And your social media tells that, right? Are you somebody that's actually building something, or are you someone just online chasing clout? Because we can spot those from a mile away. And if you're just somebody who is just talking for talking's sake, again, that quick scan gives you a really good idea as to who that person is and if the person in front of you is actually telling you the truth or not. And listen, this is why so many people have been faking it online for years, posting like they're doing something just to look valuable. But at the end of the day, and you know exactly what I mean, the real recognize real, and people can feel the difference. People can feel, especially when people are in front of you and you just got their social media and you got a little chance to experience them in person, you jump on their socials. People can feel that difference. You can tell, right? Especially the people who have just spent time with you in person. They've already felt your energy, they felt your vibe, and your command of the topic. So when they open your social media and they see that you're actually backing it up, the entire energy shifts. Think about that. Think about when you are talking to somebody and there's no bragging or anything. You're just having an amazing conversation. It could be about something dope. And then you exchange social media and you're like, oh my God, like, you're killing it. You see the people's entire vibe changes, right? Their body language changes. Their face lights up. Their tone shifts. You've just proved what your words were already suggesting. And that's today's currency. Your digital presence is your passport now. So today's episode isn't just about degrees. It's also about visibility, proof, and positioning, right? This is the deep dive that, when we're building out content and we're putting it in the newspapers or on TV, we don't always get to deep dive. But when you come and listen to the podcast, we like to deep dive on the topic. So is your degree preparing you for the future or for the past? If you are somebody who has kids and you're trying to get guidance on guiding them into where they should be going, if you are somebody who is in the later forms, your Form 4, Form 5, matter of fact, anybody that's in high school or the forms right now, or you're in university and you're in degree programs that might be gone in a couple of years, right? If you're also a professional and you're in a field and you're thinking about a career pivot, or you're seeing the writing on the wall that your industry is in decline, this is for you, right? And again, this is the map. This is the guidance. We're having this conversation because we don't want you to get caught with your pants down, right? So let's talk about the real world of work, the one that we are already living in, and how we prepare for what's coming next, right? So let's start with something that should make all of us take a pause. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York 2023, over 40% of recent U.S. college graduates are underemployed. Not unemployed, underemployed, meaning they're working in jobs that don't even require a degree. Now, think about that for a second. If after 4 years and sometimes 5, tens of thousands of dollars in student debt for us in Trinidad and Tobago, we know GATE has gone away. You're going to have to find the money to fund your stuff. After all the time, energy, and the sacrifices, and you're still not in a job that requires what you studied. And that's in the U.S., where they have access to a broader labor market, bigger companies, more startup ecosystems, and more infrastructure. So ask yourself, what do you think is happening right here in the Caribbean? Now, of course, we don't have public stats, but I've been in rooms. I teach in classrooms. I speak to graduates on a regular basis. And I hear the same story over and over and over from them and their parents. I have a degree, but I can't get through with anything. I did everything they said to do, but guess what? Now I'm stuck. But here's the truth. The world of work has already changed, and most people haven't caught up. So let me break this down some more, right? We now live in a remote-first economy. That means companies are looking, they're no longer required to hire people in their backyard, okay? In this remote-first economy, companies no longer need to hire people in their backyard. They can hire someone in the Philippines, India, Nigeria, Romania, Barbados, another Caribbean island, Jamaica, and get the same or sometimes even better results at a lower cost with faster delivery and no relocation or office expenses. So platforms like Upwork, TopTool, Fiverr, Contra, we work remotely. They have flattened the hiring landscape. It doesn't matter where you live for most of these jobs anymore. Heck, we just witnessed the first remote surgery where the doctor was in Italy and the surgery happened in China. Of course it happened in China, but the doctor was in Italy and he was able to perform remote surgery, controlling all of the machinery, the slice and that, whatever. He controlled it remotely and was able to perform the surgery. So if we can do surgeries remotely now, come to man. It doesn't matter where you live for a lot of these jobs anymore. What matters is, can you solve the problem? Can you show the result? And do you have the skills? Now, I'm not saying, and I loud and clear, let me slow this down for you. I'm not saying degrees are useless. They are not. There are fields where academic grounding is non-negotiable, naturally. Medicine, law, engineering, architecture, just to name a few. But what I am saying, and what you need to hear, is this. Context matters now more than ever, because a business degree with no specialization, no real-world experience, and no portfolio could never be enough. It just can't. It cannot. A general IT degree that doesn't teach you cloud, cybersecurity, or AI could never be enough. A marketing degree, Jesus Christmas, a marketing degree that doesn't show you how to build content, how to run paid campaigns across all the different ad platforms, how to use analytical tools, how to use CRMs. That marketing degree could never be enough today. And it's not that the degree is broken. It's that the market has moved faster than our schools have evolved, and that's an even worse problem. So the employers aren't just looking at your certificate anymore. Now they're looking at your GitHub, your LinkedIn, your website, if your portfolio website, whatever case studies you have, your content, your soft skills, how do you communicate, your adaptability, your time management. They are scanning your digital footprint before they even ask for your diploma. Because in a global job market, there's only one thing that makes you competitive: proof. Proof. This is why everybody's asking for your social media handles now. They want to check you out and understand who you are before they even call you, before you even get brought into an interview, right? Now, this is where the real pressure kicks in, because now your child is not just competing with their classmates anymore. They are competing with the 17-year-old in Argentina building full stack apps with AI integration. They're competing with that 19-year-old in Kenya who's running social media for US startups. They're competing with that 22-year-old in Vietnam who is selling $40,000 a month in products via Shopify because he lives in Vietnam. He has access to the suppliers. He has access to the manufacturing. You are competing with the 18-year-old in Nigeria who learned video editing on YouTube and is now cutting reels for global influencers. None of these people care about our CSEC grades or who passed what subject. They care about skill, delivery, and execution, and they are getting paid in foreign exchange for it. So here's the harsh truth that nobody wants to say out loud, but I'm going to say it because you don't know me already, right? If your skill set is only relevant locally, then you are vulnerable. Let me repeat that. If your skill set is only relevant locally, you are vulnerable. Because if a recession hits, if AI automates your role, if your country devalues your currency or the job market dries up, then what? Local only is fragile, but if you are global ready, you are resilient. And just look, just yesterday in Trinidad, Mr. Brian Manning, who used to be the minister in the Ministry of Finance, just yesterday came out and said the new 15% U.S. tariffs that they placed on Trinidad could force Trinidad and Tobago into devaluing the currency. Then what? The buy and sell business is not going to, that's going to die, right? But let me be clear, because this isn't doom and gloom. We already know how we do. We got to paint the picture so that we know what we're dealing with. We know the mountain and we know how to climb it, right? This is about awareness. It's about getting clear on where we are so we can shift where we need to go. And the world of work has changed. And that's not something to fear. It is something to respond to. We just have to stop pretending it hasn't happened yet. Because if we're honest, we've been training people for the test and not for the terrain. And the terrain has shifted beneath our feet. Now let's talk about something that's going to get uncomfortable for some people. But it's a conversation, again, we need to have, especially if we're serious about helping the next generation moving forward. And we need to talk about the degrees with diminishing returns. There are certain degrees that for years were seen as safe bets. They were the go-to recommendations from teachers, parents, and even guidance counselors. But today, many of these degrees are struggling to hold value in a job market that is changing by the month, by the week, and depending on your industry, sometimes by the day. But today, many of these degrees are struggling, right? And the degrees that are struggling, let's list out a couple of them. So we're looking at business administration, human resource management, hospitality and tourism, general marketing, generic IT and computer science without any kind of specialization. Now, again, let me be clear. This is not to shame anybody who studied these in the past. I've worked with some of the best people out here in each and every single one of these fields, and some of them are my closest friends, right? But we have to acknowledge what it is. The problem is not the degree. The problem is the context in which that degree exists in today. So let's break it down. Number one, business administration. It is probably the most popular fallback degree in the Caribbean. But here's the issue. It is too broad. You learn a little bit of marketing, a little bit of HR, a little finance, a little operations, but you leave with no real specialization. There is no defined skill set. And when employers are looking at your resume, they see someone who can maybe do a lot of things a little bit, but nothing that solves any specific problem. And that is going to be a very hard sell in an extremely competitive market. Again, they don't have to just work with local talent. They can outsource, right? Number two, next degree, human resource management. Now, again, keep this in mind. HR is not dead. It's evolving extremely fast, though, right? Companies are automating the onboarding processes. They're using AI for resume screening, and they're outsourcing HR functions. Unless you are specializing in HR analytics, DEI strategy, right, or people tech systems, you are often stuck doing admin heavy work, and that's the part most companies are trimming, right? Three, hospitality and tourism. So COVID broke this industry wide open, and we are obviously still recovering. But now hotels and resorts want cross-functional staff. They want people who understand digital systems, booking platforms, content creation, and even e-commerce. A traditional hospitality degree without tech integration is going to be leaving you behind. The fourth degree you have to take a look at is if you are in general marketing. A lot of these marketing courses, strategic marketing, international marketing, you really have to take a look at them now, because marketing is one of the fastest changing industries in the entire world. What you learned in your textbooks 2 years ago is long outdated. Just even in my own capacity, everything I do from this year, starting of this year, is so different now. It is so different. Even the fundamentals need upgrading because we need new fundamentals now for the day and times that we are in. Things have changed so much, and they're changing so fast every single day. If your degree did not teach you how to build funnels, how to run Facebook and Google ads, how to use programmatic ads, use tools like SEMrush, HubSpot, Google Analytics, or the whole entire suite of Google Analytics, how to craft a content strategy, how to create content, how to create multiple pieces of content, oh my goodness. You're entering the job market without any real marketing skills. And that's what's happening. Majority of these people that are graduating marketing don't have any marketing skills for today. We don't need you to just manage the budget and set up a trade show. Heck, we can get agencies to do that. Right? An agency, you know what? As a matter of fact, that might be a great switch for agencies to really focus more on the trade show and the other aspects instead of the social media and the content creation side. But anyways, that's a whole nother thing. Next degree you need to take a look at is IT degrees, generic IT degrees. If you've been studying programming or systems, maybe a bit of networking, unless you specialized in cloud computing, cybersecurity, DevOps, AI, or data science, you are in the most oversaturated talent pool on the planet. Employers want specialists. They don't want people that studied just IT. What does that even mean? Because guess what? The majority of people in IT in the Caribbean right now are people who can just reset passwords. Half the time when companies are bringing me in to talk about the marketing tech that we need, like in terms of the applications and tools that we need for marketing or for e-commerce, they bring in their IT guy. And I'm just like, why is he here? What do you do? Oh, I maintain all the mainframes. And bro, this is not your conversation. But again, they don't have nobody, right? So in the workshop that I did yesterday, I did this yesterday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Someone said something that hit really hard in the workshop, and this was Anika, who was a recent graduate. Shout outs to Anika. She says, like, I feel like I wasted 4 years of my life. And I felt that because I hear so many versions of that from just so many different people. They did everything quote unquote right. And again, I'm saying this in the context of getting jobs, right? If you sit back and you talk to people about the good times of university, everybody will tell you they met amazing people. They did this, they did that. Great, right? But we're just talking about jobs. You getting a degree, and now that you've completed university and you have this degree and you can't get a job, yeah, that's why people feel like they've wasted their time. We're talking about that. I'm clarifying, right? I know y'all already. Actually, no, this is my digipreneur fam. All you has sense is the other people. I'm just like, oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. Anyways, we hear so many versions of that, right? They did everything right. They passed the exams. They got the degree, and they still cannot get a job. Why? Because the rules have changed. They keep changing, and nobody is going to tell you. You got to bump around in the dark and figure it out for yourself. But I'm trying to put you on game, right? Some people might hear this and say, so what? Are we just supposed to stop going to school? Absolutely not. We don't throw away the education, but the education obviously has to evolve. We stop defaulting to degrees just to look, we're doing something, right? We stop telling young people, just get the paper and figure it out later. We start asking questions like, what problems do we want to solve? What skills are in demand in your particular field or in a particular field you want to get into? What specialization is needed and how do we build proof of it? This is about making smarter decisions with our time, our money, and our energy because the truth is, a degree with no specialization, no portfolio, and no proof of execution. Excuse me. I'm parched. I'm sorry. If you have no specializations, if you have no portfolio, and you have no proof of execution, you're not going to get very far in today's world because people are just going to opt to work with or hire the people that do have the specializations, do have the portfolios, do have the proof of execution. But if you combine smart education with real world output, then you're cooking with gas. Because the problem, again, was never that you studied. The problem is that you studied without strategies, right? Or at least updated strategies. So if you are a parent, if you got kids and you're listening to this, right, this is for you. And I want to start by saying this very clearly, that you have done the best you could with what you had and what knowledge you have and possess. You made the sacrifices. You've worked long hours. You followed the blueprint that you were taught. Go to school, get a degree, land a good job, build a better life. You wanted stability for your children. You wanted security. You wanted options. And the world told you that the safe route was education. But here's what I need you to hear, and I say this with love. The world has changed, and your advice now needs to change with it. Because that safe degree that you are pushing to your kids is no longer going to lead them where you think it does. We're not in the 90s anymore. This isn't the just get a government walk and you're set for life era. Them days done, right? Look how much government's trying to trim down every the human resources, right? We are now in a world that has remote work, freelance marketplaces, AI automation. You have global competition for skill sets. We live in a digital first everything right now. And most importantly, we are in a world where visibility, skill, and proof are the new resume. So in the workshop that I did, right? Another comment. And I had pulled some comments from the workshop, right? So this is another comment that hit me. And this is from Leanne, right? Leanne said, I don't even know what's safe anymore. Like, what is a safe industry? What is a safe degree? Like, what is safe? Because of how fast things are changing. And when she said it, you really could hear like concern, right? Because she wants to guide her kids. She wants to help them avoid mistakes. She wants to know that all the money that she's spending, all the effort that she's putting into her own education will mean something in the end, but even she can feel it. The old safety net has a whole lot of holes. And here's the question I want every parent to sit with right now. Are you preparing your children for a job title, or are you preparing them for a world that is in motion? If you're preparing them for a job title, it's going to be very static, very rigid. It's going to be outdated. But if you are teaching them how to roll and how to ebb and flow in today's world and how to embrace the change and how to be an early adopter and how to try things out, if you are preparing them for that in mind, then you're doing a great job. Because if you're just preparing them for a job title, the other problem is that that job title might not exist in the next 5 years, right? But if you are preparing them for the world in motion, then we need to teach them a couple of things. Here's what we need to teach our kids. We need to teach our kids how to adapt. We need to teach our kids how to go about building skills. We need to teach them, and this is probably the most important thing. We need to teach them how to learn continuously. We need to teach them how to navigate digital spaces, how to create visibility online, and how to speak about what they do and show it. These are things that you want to start to now push your kids into classes and learn these things, because that is going to be, okay, we have the skill sets, but now we got to market our skill sets. Whether it's a business or whether it's you trying to get a company's attention to hire you, you have to learn how to build your brand. You have to learn how to market yourself. Matter of fact, there was a story that I just seen today, right, on Instagram, where this company contacted this kid. He's Asian, and I can't remember who's the first company. It might have been Nvidia. I think Nvidia might have reached out to him, and they offered him a couple mil as an AI researcher. Right now, AI researchers are getting paid better than NBA stars. Okay, we got to talk about that another time. Anyways, he got the job offer from Nvidia, a few million, and he never gave them an answer, but he posted about it online, and it got the attention of Mark Zuckerberg, and Zuckerberg reached out to him to double the offer. He just parlayed. You see how that is? He didn't apply for no job. If he had applied for a job, they probably wouldn't have he would have been it. He might not have had an ATS compliant resume, and that resume gets stuck in the system or disqualified, and he never even made. No, he built his brand. They knew about him. They found out about him. The NVIDIA researched him. They found out about him. He puts it out online. He parlays that into a bigger contract. You gotta love it, man. So here's where it gets really hard for people today, because now they're stuck between two worlds, especially the younger generation. On one hand, you have everybody telling them to go to school, study hard, get a degree. But then on the other hand, they're watching YouTubers making money with no formal training and making a lot of money, right? The YouTubers are the streamers, and the YouTubers are the new celebrities. So you're seeing YouTubers making money, and you're even seeing YouTubers making money in a local context. Shout outs to Kyle Boss and Junior Lee and Certified Samson and Julie Mango and listen, people are making money off of social media, and they're seeing that. People have friends who are freelancing, and they have global clients, and they work from their bedroom. We know people like that. We know a lot of people doing that now, right? Influencers, creators getting booked for things they didn't even know were careers. So what ends up happening now is they try to please everyone. They go do the degree, but halfway through they realize they're not even sure what it's leading to anymore. They lose motivation, they become anxious, they stop believing in the system and in themselves, and we are seeing that play out everywhere. So what can you do? You don't need to have all the answers, but you do need to start asking better questions. Ask your kids what lights you up. What problems do you want to see solve? Or what problems do you want to solve? What skills do you want to learn that the world actually needs? How can we build a portfolio while you're studying and not after? What platforms are hiring globally in this field? What would your LinkedIn look like after 4 years of this degree? And most importantly, is this degree opening doors or just delaying the conversation? Parents, we are not failing because we don't care. We are failing because we are still giving 1998 advice in a 2025 economy. But this is where this changes. You need to support your child's vision. You need to expose them to new fields. Let them experiment. Let them try different things out. Don't just pay for school. Pay attention to the shifts that are happening in the world, because what they need most from you right now isn't just the money. More importantly, it's the guidance more than anything, right? So, what are the solutions? If we agree that the world has shifted, and if we agree that some degrees are no longer delivering the ROI that they used to, then the next question logically is, well, Keron, what should we be studying? And I'll take it one step further. What skills should we be building regardless of whether we study them in school, online, or learn them through projects? Because in today's world, the learning path doesn't matter as much as the output. So let's get into it. Now, according to the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report, the most in-demand roles over the next 5 years include AI and machine learning specialists, data analysts and scientists, cybersecurity analysts, UX UI designers, digital marketing specialists, e-commerce and growth specialists, climate technology and sustainability experts, educational tech and online learning designers, customer experience professionals. So these aren't just jobs of the future, they are jobs of the present that will only grow more powerful over time. And the best part is that most of these fields are accessible with skill building and not just degrees. You can learn them through online courses, boot camps, mentorship, apprenticeships, and by creating work that people can actually see. Now let's break this down in the regional context, right? Let's look at digital marketing and content strategy. This is a massive opportunity in the region because most businesses still don't know how to sell or communicate online. So if you are somebody that learns search engine optimization or generative optimization, GEO, whatever the heck that is now, generative GEO. Just Google it, right? Things are changing fast. I'm still learning and catching up to, right? If you learn paid ads, if you learn content marketing, if you learn email marketing, if you learn the analytics tools like Google Analytics, if you learn the heat mapping analytics from like Hotjar, the Bing Webmaster Tools, like if you learn the analytics suites, you could then consult, you can freelance or work for companies anywhere in the world, even if you're living in the region, in TNT, Jamaica, Grenada, wherever you want, you can get jobs anywhere in the world. And the demand is global. The platforms are already built. The only barrier you have is skill and consistency. Then you have UX UI designers and product strategists. So as more companies are going digital, they need people who understand and can design user experiences from the websites to the applications to the digital interfaces. UX design isn't just about being artistic, it is about understanding human behavior, solving digital problems, and creating smooth, intuitive systems. And once again, companies don't care about where you went to school, they want to see your portfolio. Now, what about cybersecurity and cloud tech? This is one of the highest paying sectors right now, naturally. Because guess what? Your clients or who is going to be looking to hire you is the government, the banks, the corporations. They are all scrambling to secure their data and move to cloud-based systems, and they have the money to do it. So if you can understand network security, learn tools like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and study real use cases and get certifications, then you are on a trajectory to earn foreign exchange, working remotely, and get flown into high-level projects around the region. Next up, and this is a big one, is e-commerce and digital logistics. So For years, we have been behind in the region when it comes to online business infrastructure. But if you are somebody who understands Shopify or WordPress or Wix or any of these platforms, Drupal, Joomla, Magento, the online payments tools like WePay, First Atlantic Commerce, and now called PowerTrans, PayPal, Stripe, if you understand fulfillment, how to get your products from point A to point B, whether it's physical products or if you understand the digital infrastructure to deliver digital products, if you understand local and cross border logistics, you are going to be in high demand to help set up and run online stores for small businesses, creators, and even export ready companies. And the fifth one that we could be taking a look at is AI automation and prompt engineering. AI is not going to replace you just yet, but someone who knows how to use it will. We've been hearing that, and it's absolutely true. So, what you can do is if you can learn how to do prompt engineering, learn how to do effective prompting, how to build workflows, that's the most important thing right now, especially since agentic AI is here. ChatGPT has agentic AI, meaning it doesn't have to wait for you to give it a command. It can now do things on its own. So you want to learn how to do that and how to build workflows. If you learn how to integrate tools like ChatGPT, Midjourney, Gemini, if you listen, if you Zapier, like if you learn how to string these tools together to create workflows, you're gonna be a force. You are going to become a force multiplier for any team or business. And right now, there is a shortage of people who understand how to apply AI with context in the Caribbean. And that's why we need you to do it. So let me bring this all home, right? We got to stop chasing trends. We have to start aligning ourselves, our kids, with the fields that are in global demand. Focus on fields that are digital in nature, and the majority of the new fields that are coming out are digital in nature, which is good. We also want to start focusing on not just the local economy. We want to start focusing on getting jobs outside of our country so that we can start to earn our foreign exchange. Then we also need to be flexible across industries because if you are serious about creating opportunity in 2025, then what you study has to be transferable. You want exportable skills. You want to be able to work for companies outside of your country. You want to be able to charge and get paid in US or euros or pounds because that's how you build your economic resilience. And again, not just by employment. So the next time you or your child is thinking about what to study, don't start with what degrees sound good. Start with what skills will be in demand for the next 10 years. What am I building while I'm learning? What global problem do I want to solve? And how can I make my work visible to the world? Because that is where you need to start focusing on. That is what's going to get you in the door. And because of that, you have to understand how to start building this global digital presence. I actually did a course on building your digital presence. I will link to it in the show notes. It is a fully packed course teaching you how to build your digital presence from scratch. It is good for both people who are employees and it's catered towards business owners, but employees can absolutely do that course and you'd be much better off for it because it's just going to help you land your jobs and stick out a heck of a lot more, which is what you need to be doing, right? So if you want to start building that global digital presence, because again, you realize and you understand and you're accepting that the world has changed and you know you need better skills and you need people to see what you do so that people can pay you, whether that's through client work or whether that's through a job. Well, here's what we have to start doing. Okay? Your digital presence is your new business card, your portfolio, your credibility, your proof. And the best place to start building that visibility, to start accessing the global market, great platform is LinkedIn. That is the platform people think is just for corporate updates and resumes. No, LinkedIn is the platform where 99% of my money comes from because all the decision makers are there. All the companies around the world are there. So even if you want to go and try to work for a company, you can connect with all the hiring managers. You can connect with people in the companies. LinkedIn is the only platform where you can go and search for a potential company anywhere in the world, find from the CEO right down to the janitor. start to build up the connections, interact with them, become friends, and network, man. That's how you network, right? LinkedIn is the place to go ahead and do that. Now, Jared was my featured guest speaker for last night in the workshop. Again, the workshop, I'll link to that in the show notes as well so that you can go and do the entire future-proofing your job, exercise, and all that good stuff. We'll talk about that at the end. But Jared said it best. LinkedIn is no longer a place just to upload your resume. It's the most powerful platform for attracting global opportunities if you use it intentionally. And Jared's one of the most visible and respected professionals in the region. And he did not get there by waiting for someone to hand him a microphone. He built his visibility by showing his work consistently every single day. Now, what does that mean for you? It means that if you are learning something, talk about it. If you are working on a project, show it. If you are building a new skill, document the journey, because people don't just hire talent anymore. They hire proof. And if someone lands in your profile, they need to see what you know. How do you think? What have you built? Who have you helped? And what kind of energy do you bring to the table? That is what is building trust today. That is what makes someone DM you and say, hey, I've been following your work and I think we should talk. And this is exactly how I got into the majority of the rooms that I'm in now. I haven't applied for jobs. Even the last job I did in Flow, I didn't apply for that. I was headhunted because of my content and what I have done, all right? I was just showing what I was doing and, again, documenting in real time. So when people saw the projects, they saw the trainings, they saw the feedback from the clients, the workshops, when they saw the entire ecosystem, the people that I met, when they asked me, what do you do? Then they ask me for the socials, and when they go and they pull out their phone and they do that quick scroll and they take the 3 seconds to scan, again, that shows them the consistency, that shows them the outcomes, that shows them that I have been doing that work, right? That is what they do for you as well. And again, I'll reiterate, this is why people have been trying to fake it online for years, right? Because people know that those few seconds matter. So they try to look booked, they try to look branded, they try to look busy. But again, the real ones can spot the difference immediately. Because when your digital presence is aligned with your real world energy, people feel it. They open your Instagram or your LinkedIn and they go, this person is actually serious, or something is suspicious. And that moment right there, that is when opportunities are either made or they're lost. So let's make it practical. You need to be building a basic portfolio website. Get active on LinkedIn, talk about what you do, weekly posts, jump in on conversations, showcase your case studies whenever you can. Start building your About Me section and your project highlight section. Share insights from what you are learning. Stop just posting selfies and random stories. Create a digital trail that says, here is who I am, here is how I think, and here is what I can do. And you don't need to go viral. You just need to show up consistently so that the people who are already looking for talent like you, or to do business with somebody like you, they can find you. Because talent without visibility gets overlooked. But talent with proof and presence, those are the people that are getting paid. All right? Now, before we close this episode, because we are at our 1 hour mark, I like to keep it at the 1 hour mark, right? But before we go, I want to say something to anyone and everybody who is listening that might feel behind right now. Maybe you're in your 30s. I'm 38, so I'm right here with you. Maybe you're in your 40s and thinking, boy, I wish I knew this sooner. Maybe you've already spent money on a degree and it's not working out. Maybe you are feeling pressure to pivot, but you don't know where to begin. And let me tell you something. The system may have failed you, but that doesn't mean you yourself are a failure. We were just sold a dream and we were told, study hard, get a degree, get a job, build a life. We know that. That was the programming. That was the blueprint that we were given. But nobody told us that the job market would globalize overnight. Nobody told us that AI would accelerate the entire global industries in 2 years. That hiring managers would care more about your LinkedIn and your GitHub than your GPA. That a short form video portfolio could be worth more than a transcript. Nobody could have predicted that AI researchers are getting paid better than professional athletes. So if you're feeling lost, it's not your fault. But now that we know better, we got to act. And this is exactly why I did the Future Proof Your Career workshop. So it's it was completely free. It was a 2-hour actual workshop. We did work. Imagine that, going to a workshop and you got to do work. We did work, right? We dove into the most in-demand jobs globally and regionally. We dove into skills that can be learned without a degree. And then we learned how to build a digital presence that attracts opportunities. And then we learned how to create your learning roadmap based on where the world is heading. We did a full live career exploration, utilizing the tools at our disposal, like ChatGPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, right? But again, I'll link to that and you can see exactly what was going on. So you can literally type in your interests and your background and get mapped to potential jobs and upskilling paths on the spot. And what I did was I gave everybody the Future of Jobs report from the World Economic Forum and the Job Skills Report 2025 done by Coursera. And we used those documents as the foundation to map our interests, our strengths, our weaknesses, and skill sets, and what we want out of our life to the right jobs that are coming on board over the next couple of years so that people can pivot correctly. And pivot with clarity and pivot with content and pivot with confidence, right? Whew. I'm going to link to that in the show notes. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Again, we have to ring the alarm, but we are ringing the alarm because we want you to be prepared. And once you are prepared collectively, that is going to help the entire region. All right. So I will link to the paid course. That is the Building Your Digital Presence. I will link to that in the show notes. And I will also link to the free workshop on future-proofing your careers. Okay? If you enjoyed this episode and you're listening in from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, don't forget to like and rate the podcast. The ratings and the likes continue to help grow the podcast. And if you really enjoyed the podcast, drop your comments on YouTube. Go ahead and leave the reviews on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I read them. Again, they help grow the Digipreneur family all across the world, okay? If you want to learn more about building your digital presence, monetizing your platforms, and how to tap into the global opportunities in this digital world, follow me or go check out the KeronRose.com website and keep it locked to the Digipreneur FM podcast. We continue to drop content like this that we know that you need, and you could always check out the Digipreneur FM website to keep up to date. So that is it from me today, folks. Happy Hump Day. Look forward to talking to you again in the next one, and take care.
You've been listening to the Digiboss, Keron Rose. We hope your notepad was filled after this episode. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. The learning doesn't stop, folks. And to make sure you don't miss any gems from the Digiboss, go over and follow him on all social media platforms at Keron Rose. Folks, don't just sit there with a notepad. We need you to implement at least one thing into your business before the next episode. That's the only way your business levels up. Thanks for listening to Digipreneur FM. Now go be great.